If you build a team based on your instructions, you're not building a team. You're building soldiers that they won't think by themselves. They'll just act based on whatever you told them to do. But if you tell them, you can do this, you will do this, you're building people that is going to grow. And you want people to grow because they want to grow. You don't want soldiers, you want people that are capable.
Welcome to the Hired Hub podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the complexities of remote work and pushing your career forward.
Whether you're tuning in from the busy streets of Latin America or any corner of the globe, we're here to give you tools and insights to succeed in today's dynamic job market. I'm your host, Gaby Morales.
And I am your co-host, Jess Torres. If you're a recent graduate eager to leave your mark or a seasoned pro looking to redirect your career, you can join us as we explore the endless possibilities of remote work and career growth.
Get ready to unlock your full potential with the Hired Hub podcast. And today we have a special guest joining us, none other than Beatrice Diaz, affectionately known as B, a seasoned marketing manager with a passion for all things remote.
Today, we want to make a little change. We have an interactive session further in the episode, and also we've added a small new section called Marketing Tools.
We truly hope you guys enjoy it as much as we do.
Well, B, thank you for being here. I want to give a small introduction about B. Beatrice, known as B in the marketing world, with more than 7 years of experience, is the marketing manager at Webterior Design. Her background as industrial engineer allowed B to pursue a master's degree in digital marketing and e-commerce, fueling her love for the industry. Throughout her career, she has gained valuable experience experimenting and learning in a wide range of marketing roles, equipping her with well-rounded skill set. So B, welcome. We're happy to have you here. How are you today?
Hi, Jess. Hi, Gaby. Thank you for having me.
We're always happy to have you here. You're a special guest, really special guest for Gaby and me.
Thank you for being here, B. Since you're a marketing manager, can you tell us a little bit about your day-to-day? Like, how does it look like? Especially, given that you have a remote work.
Busy and stressful, but fun. I do a lot of supervising. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of trend studies. I take a bit of every morning, every working day, and some others that are not working days, to try to set what do I have on my to-do list and try to prioritize and see what are the things that I really need to have done, what are the things that I really want to have done by the end of the day, and what are the things that other people needs to be done, so I can work myself around and try to focus whatever research I'm doing that day into the things that might help me, feeling whatever task that I have, and help other people to feel whatever task they have.
We all know that you do a lot of roles and things in marketing in general. I want to know, what advice would you give someone that wants to follow your steps?
Experience everything. Never say no. You have to write content, do it. Try it. You don't like it, you won't do it again. You did like it. Now you know that you like it. If someone asks you if you know something, be honest. Don't say, of course I know. If you don't know, it's okay not to know. You just have to say, well, I'm not too into it right now, but I can do a quick research and count on me. And then you're not saying no. You're just specifying that you actually need to understand a bit better X, Y, and Z tool.
Stay curious.
Don't give anything for granted either. That's literally it. Stay curious. Never say no. Research as much as you want. Don't ever say no, I'm not too good on this, because you will never be too good on that if you say that. It's about a little bit of everything. If you don't know how to communicate with yourself, you won't be able to communicate anything at all, because you won't be able to get that attention. You won't even you won't have that seasoning that you need as a marketer, because you do need it. You work with people. You need to be outgoing. You need to pretend to be outgoing. You need to pretend to know that you know where you like what are you trying to communicate perfectly, even if sometimes you don't have enough information, because that's what you are there for.
Absolutely. B, our first topic for today is emotional intelligence and those activities that you mentioned that you carry out on a day to day. And, with that follow up advice of people, what would people do like if they wanted to be in your position? What role do you think emotional intelligence plays in your day to day, in your professional life?
Okay, so we can like split that into two separate questions. We have the leadership part of it, which is the basic. Like the basic thing that you have to know when you're working with people is emotional intelligence. Why? Because when you're like following orders, it's easy to just like read through everything and say, okay, let's do a quick research and get this task done. But when you're communicating what you need and trying to get these people to be motivated by themselves, you cannot say, hey, you need to do this and say bye-bye. That won't work. They won't get motivated. The work is not going to get done. You're going to have to spend hours QAing, making sure that the quality of this deliverable is at least enough, and it's never going to be enough because they don't feel the task. They don't know what they're doing. And not necessarily like at a professional level, they just don't have the context that you as a manager, you as a supervisor have. So you need to be able to communicate it on a way that they feel compelled to do it because they want to, because they believe in what you're like telling them, and they know that they will be able to help. So that's like, as the leadership goes, that's like the main part.
Okay.
Like also, whenever you're like dealing with a hard situation, again, you're still going to be like the role model there. You're still not, you're still going to be this person that they're required to look up to. Just like by hierarchy, they're required to do so. Like they don't have any other choice. They cannot think, like they cannot fight, like get stubborn on something, because you'll always have the upper hand and they know it. So whenever they are not feeling secure, they're going to express it, and they're not going to say it. They're just going to express it on all ways that doesn't necessarily fit what you would do because you have another context.
And also you said something that it's really interesting about leadership. You can lead by example. So you demonstrate how all of the experience that you have, how you can be, and in your interactions with other people and bringing positivity to the team, I think that's one of the important things that I know that you are, like, you bring positivity, that you lead by your example because you're a great manager. And that's something that really help other people to learn from. Also, feedback. I think it's important because whenever I know I might not be doing something right, I ask you, hey, how can I improve? How can I get done this like better to make it right? So I think that's part of the process, I guess. Like, just to add a little bit of what were you saying before.
Definitely. The way you give and receive feedback, it's also very important. You're right. That's a very important topic that I wasn't going to touch it, but now that we're talking about it, we can get into it. The way that you receive feedback talks directly about how personal you get things. And by extension, that speaks directly about how much can you handle your own emotions. Because at the end of the day, if you're getting feedback, it's always going to be taken personal. But how you handle that, like how do you analyze the information that you're being given, that's super important. Like super important. It's going to set how you're going to feel the rest of the day. And we know that.
Right.
We know. We've been there.
And it really, emotional intelligence, it has five main aspects, which is like the self-awareness. You need to be self-aware. You need to be able to self-regulate your own emotion, to understand what motivation is, not only for you, but for your team, what empathy is also. You need to be very empathetic, and also have social skills.
Yeah.
So among those things that you say, like being able to self-regulate, to take feedback as well as you want it to be perceived as for anyone, it's very important. Considering those aspects of emotional intelligence, how would you deal with someone, maybe someone you supervise or someone that you collaborate with that is not emotionally intelligent?
That's a very complex question because it have like the me aspect and the you aspect. The first thing that I have to like be very aware of, it's actually that you are not being able to handle whatever situation that is happening, because that's going to put me on a spot, like to be aware of how much like of the lead of the situation do I have to take, because you don't know how to handle it, and you're going to express that on any way that you want. You're going to be mad. You're going to feel insecure. You're going to turn off your camera. You'll get all jittery. I need to be able to see it, and you can see it like even through a camera. Don't think this is like only like nonverbal communication. I can see that, and you'll hear that too, like the tone of voice, the frequency of how they're talking, how fast they're talking, or how much they're staying like keeping quiet and trying to make themselves like small, muting themselves, turning on and off the camera like constantly during a meeting. That's gonna tell people that you don't know, like either you're doing that on purpose or not. That's gonna tell people that you don't know how to handle something, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a bad thing, because that only means that you'll need a little bit of help, which is like again, everything will need help. Like I've had so many people right now, like this past week, saying, no, I don't need help. And it's like, needing help is not a bad thing. Needing help only means that you're going to expedite X and Y process because you're going to get someone else thinking with you. That's it. Like, it's not that you don't like know how to do something. You're not prepared to do something. It's not that you cannot do so. It's just you expedite the process. That's asking for help. So once you once the person that does have the emotional intelligence, in this case me, but like only this is the example. We can do it like the other way around. Someone talking to me when I don't know how to handle things. Once you understand that this person doesn't know how to handle this, and you understand that this person does not have enough emotional intelligence to solve this by themselves, which I'm going to re-emphasize this like a lot during the episode. It's okay not to know, and it's okay not to be able to do something, whatever is well managed. Like if you communicate assertively that you need help, that's okay. That's by no means something that speaks less of you. It really doesn't.
And also seeking support. Like you said, we are doing something we might not know, or we don't have a lot of information. We can just ask our manager or boss or someone from human resources, or someone that does it better or that has done it before. Hey, there's this situation. I'm just trying to get this done. I need your help. It's okay. It's like, I'm here. It's like raising your hand and saying, I need help.
How can we co-work? It could be something as simple as, can we co-work? So you can give me your line of thoughts as I'm needing them. Like it's really good to know when do you need help. And what's the thing? Sometimes people don't even understand that they do. This is why they're started to have like to express themselves with nonverbal communication, which is the things that I was talking to you about, like how they get jitter, they speak like faster or slower, they make themselves like more aggressive, or they try to make themselves like smaller, and you'll see that. Like it's super easy, and people also know when they make mistakes. We all know when we make mistakes. It's okay. It's life. Such is life, people. So once we understand that we are the ones that need to have like the lead on the situation, the second part is to understand that whatever I am feeling, this is not a case of I'm going to treat you like I would like to be treated if I were you. That's the worst thing that we've been told. And it's like all over the internet, all over TikTok, all over Instagram, all over any social media. You do need to treat with the same kind of like communication that you'd like to receive. It's not the case. It is. That's the lie. Like I like to be talked on a way, and people that like have way more things that I have to do, they're going to need another kind of communication because they're going to be like on a rush to get something like just through, and that's it. Like they just need that through done as soon as they can. and more details. So I'll need more details. I'll need more explanations. And these other people know they just need to get something done. And there's people that talk like with a lot of emojis when they text. There's people that don't. Doesn't mean that like they don't like you. Doesn't mean that they hate you. Doesn't mean that they don't want to work with you. It's just how they communicate. You cannot like understand immediately that the way that you'd like to be treated is how you need to treat other people. You need to treat them with respect, of course. You need to be kind. You need to be like at your own way. You need to be like caring, whatever you want to be, but not like you would like.
We all learn differently. And I think a great skill for a manager or for someone that it's in a high position, it's understanding how people learn, or like if you are this kind of person, how should I talk to you, or how should I approach this conflict? I think that's really important, and I am really glad you brought that up, because it's really interesting how we all are a different world, and it's just really important for us to know how to deal with different kind of people. So we wanted to talk about emotional intelligence because on our last episode, and if you haven't listened to it, we encourage you to do it. We talked a little bit of emotional intelligence, and according to a study by Harvard Business Review, 71% of remote workers believe that emotional intelligence is critical for success in a remote work environment. So, B, what strategies, we know that all over the years you've been manager and you have a lot of experience in the marketing field. How do you recommend managing these emotions during challenging conversations or conflicts? Like, do you have anything on mind? Like, this happened to me and I approach it this way, or I learned this from that. So this is a good strategy, or these are some bullet points that I have in mind that I can recommend you if you're going through a moment where we need intelligence, like emotional intelligence. Sorry.
Okay, there's like you need emotional. Like first, I want to set like something just to have like the same background. We all need emotional intelligence on every decision, on every conversation that we have. Because when you work remotely, you are on your own space. You are on your bedroom, you're on your living room, you're on your personal space. And when you work remotely, everything is like you go chatting, you go like texting people, you call them, and it's like you can humanly start the conversation by, "Hi, how are you?" That's not how like meetings work. You introduce the people, you say these meetings, oh, this, and this, and you get like a schedule. As remote workers, like particularly in the areas that I've been working with, marketing is a very light area. Like you won't get anything like could be finance, that it's like very, very serious. Marketing is so like happy. We're like creative people. It's like graphic design. They're creative, they're colors. So you can easily start a conversation by what's up. You're opening your house to people you don't know. You are bound to take things personal. Like it sounds awful. That's how it is. Like I've seen many people, and I had this conversation like last week or this week. Like I couldn't sleep because I don't know, I couldn't sleep. And I told this friend of mine that I couldn't sleep, and she was like, "Oh, I couldn't either." And I was like, why didn't you?" And she was like, "No, I got stressed with my work." And I was like, "Stressed? But do you get as happy with your work?" And she was like, "Well, no, I just get stressed." And it's like, you're prioritizing the wrong emotions. That's not how life works. So in order to like set something like as a base, like even for tasks that you don't have to collaborate with people, you have to be emotional intelligent, because that's like you're on your own. You're like very bound to take things personal, very bound to say I can't, and talk to you the way like to yourself the way you shouldn't, and say like, "Of course I know," when you don't. It's you have to know when to say things and how to say them. If something, you have to like, I practice a lot the me speech, which is when I am not secure about something, I don't say you're wrong. I say, "Can you explain your train of thought?" If I don't see how something matches something else, it's not like this doesn't have to do like you're doing everything wrong or you're mixing things up. I'm like, "Can you explain me? Because this is making me confused, because at the end of the line, emotional intelligence talks about how I manage my own emotion and how am I feeling. I can feel confused. I am allowed to feel confused. You're allowed to make mistakes, but I am also allowed to say, hey, I don't really get what you're talking about in this page of the deliverable of the document. So, like, knowing, like, as a chain of actions, and just one part of this chain, knowing how to communicate with others without blaming anything on them. It's very, like, it's one of the things that helps me a lot on how to keep myself regulated. Because again, we all need, like, the main task is to keep ourselves regulated so we know how to react. There are situations that we won't be able to do it, but the ones that we have, like, tools for, we need to use them. Try to keep ourselves regulated, talking in I. Not you did something, is I don't understand what you did. Not because I don't feel like I'm wrong, not because I'm trying to show weakness. It's trying to actively listen to you and actively trying to understand. You have other context that I don't have. What if I don't understand the idea at first sight, but it's a good idea? Like, it could have been viral. And just because I couldn't understand and I said it's wrong, that's impossible. Like, that should not happen. Okay, I do have an experience, a very weird experience, by the way. I was working with a PM with my manager. I was on a coordinator position at that point, and my manager was training a new asset that we had on the company that was acting as a content writer at the point, but he wasn't really a content writer. He was a marketer. And someone that was never, like, identified. Someone posted something on a blog that was like 3 lines long, on a blog post, when everything needed to be like long forms content. A 1,000 words. This person went ahead and posted like 2 lines long blog post, full blog post, with nothing else, like no image, no nothing. Like, no nothing. Of course, the manager got called out on that. Of course, he was bound to. And he called the project manager, and then he called the doer, and of course he called me. And he was going nuts. Like, he was beyond mad. And he yelled at everyone. I was so lost. I do remember that I was like super lost, and I understood that I had to take control because I was the only one that didn't really know what was happening. So this doer, like, this person that he was like just getting started, he was just getting trained, was like super jittery. The project manager got like screamed so hard that she started crying, which I almost like died with her. And obviously the manager was like super mad too, because he also got yelled at just on another meeting, like privately instead of publicly. And at some point, like the call became a mess, but like an absolute mess. Like, no one knew what was happening. No one like had like an emotional, acceptable reaction. Everyone was like on the edge of a panic attack.
It was not solution oriented. It was the discussion to put blame.
Like, I'd really like to say a discussion to put blame, but everyone was like on the verge, the edge of having a heart attack. Like, everyone was panicking. Everyone was like getting yelled at and yelling like to someone else. And I swear, I was like on a corner trying to understand what was happening, because like you'll hear the PM saying everything was done. Then you'll hear the manager saying this is awful. Then you'll hear the other person saying this was approved by you. And I'd be like, okay, I need to understand. So I raised my hands because we use Zoom, right? So I raised the hand, like I didn't even unmute myself. I raised it and wait till everyone like finished talking. And I was like, okay, I really need you to like try to help me out what was happening, because we have something that was like supposed to be approved. And then we had like a huge issue with this client that called our manager, and he was like yelled at, and then we all got yelled at. And I just can't find what is happening. And they were like, this blog was posted. Okay, show me the blog. The 3 lines. I almost I almost understood my manager, but I didn't. I didn't gel. So I was like, okay, so we have 3 things to like immediately do. The doer, you need to go and ask whoever you asked for it to be posted to get it down. Like, I don't want to see it on the page. The PM, I really need you to help me to see where the miscommunication was. And then I completely removed the less emotionally prepared person on the call for the situation. I had to remove my manager because he made everyone cry in the meeting. He was not regulating himself. He couldn't handle this. So I had to say, like, I'll call you later. Let me just get this done. I'll fix everything and then I'll call you to report everything that happened. And he was like, all right. And he left. And then, of course, he texted me like, how is this possible? Like, they should have not done anything like this. And I was like, calm down. Let's get this like solved and then we'll talk about what happened. So like we get everything done. We like this person calls the web developers and helps us like put down the block. Then the project manager like tells me this is where this was approved, and I don't understand what happened, why like all of this happened, and I had to like do like emotional damage control and everything because everyone was literally on their edge. Like they were having panic attacks. People had to turn off their cameras. When you're talking about like errors and you see someone that is muting themselves and turning off their cameras, they are crying. Spoiler alert, they are crying. So when this happens and everyone was like off camera and many people had like their mics off, you say, this is awful. Everything is going to be taken to human resources. We need to check this like in-house as much as we can. But if we have to like take something, like take help from other departments, then like so be it. If we need to escalate it, then okay. And I had to like do damage control with each of the people that were involved on that call because like the manager was blaming like everyone else but themselves. The project manager, she was like, I'm quitting. I really don't want to work with these kind of situations anymore. And it's like things happen. Don't get this pissed. Just like I understand that how was handled was awful, but now we're handling differently. And we're handling differently on the spot because we still have the resources. So let's first get like everything set and then we can talk about it. And she had like a really off session with me, like just like calling or like on the phone. She venting and saying, how is this possible? Like this person yelled at me and told me that I was this and this. The manager called the doers names. Like it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And I had to tell, like, since I was the only one that didn't even know what was happening, I was the only one that was in control of my emotions. I was the only one regulated. So I had to take everyone out and approach everyone on different approaches because, of course, like what they were feeling, the feelings were also super different. Like there was one that was crying, there was one that was mad, and I couldn't like treat these two people the same way because I'd make matter the one that was mad, and I'll call mornings. Like if I had to act like if I'm mad, like to empathize with an emotion to the person that was crying, like it would be a mess. So I had to approach every single person involved differently, like not treating them like I would have liked someone else to treat me, just trying to empathize with whatever they're feeling and trying to give them context and information to be able to regulate themselves and let them vent if that's what they needed, letting them like talk and understand and ask if that's what they needed. That's how I handled everything. Like maybe it was like self-regulation on my case, but it was like regulation at the end of the day. So just someone else's.
Yeah, but it definitely is. It definitely is. It's emotional regulation is like knowing when it's just not worth it to overreact for something. There's nothing is ever so important to be worth your peace. Honestly. Even if you and that if you are the person that's doing the activity and maybe you're still learning, like it's never as important. Like you can't put so much pressure to it specifically when you're learning because you're learning. You're bound to make mistakes. But as a manager or as someone that has people under their supervision, it's also very important to be an example because if you react that way, then you can't expect your team to react any other way. So you need to have that emotional regulation. And I like that from that example, you pretty much demonstrated that it's very important to be solution oriented, to focus on solutions, because again, it's not really productive if you go on a meeting just to play a blaming game. Oh, you messed it up, and you messed it up, and you also messed it up. Like, it's not getting you anywhere. Whereas being solution oriented and calm, of course, you can say, okay, this is messed up, but let's see how we fix it. What do we need to do to fix it? And then you can overcome that situation easier and with less emotional stress, without it being so emotionally straining. Because when you're learning, you're bound to make mistakes. And that's also something that you should know as someone that needs to be responsible for training. Like, you need to know that the people that you're training are going to make mistakes. And then again, what you need to evaluate is how recurrently they do so, and then reinforce and use other tools and techniques to be able to demonstrate people how they should be doing their work. Like, seeking support, active listening, of course, like just listening to the issue that they're having and then trying to see how you can solve that for them or help them get to the solution on their own. I feel like that's very important, but it always has to be focused towards solutions rather than, staying on the problem. This is where we get to our first interactive section of our episode. I wanted to ask you, is there any practical tip or exercise that you do to enhance your emotional intelligence and communication skills for remote work environments?
Okay, as far as like youth practices, I really like to consume a lot of content about this. But I do have like a technique that I really like. That like I did it like once, and then I do it like every so often, because it really helps me. Like, we know that as much as we live, we are learning as we live. So every once in a while, I repeat this exercise to understand if something has changed. And not because I think that I have to like keep learning, like making myself learn, like consume content, read books, see TED Talks. I don't mean that. I mean, experiences change the way we see everything. Why? Because we have more more context, and we have a better background, so we'll bound to react differently. So I have like I do have an exercise that I want to like give you guys, that I really hope it helps, because it really helps me. Like, it constantly helps me. So the first thing that you need to understand is actually the first thing that I've been talking like throughout the episode. Like every intervention I do, it starts with this topic, which is, I am not like, how I react is not how everyone else is going to react, and how I understand things. Even if it's the same situation, it's not going to be the same as you. So first, once I understand that you need help in something, I need to know how to communicate right. And by that, I need to know, how do I naturally communicate? So it's important to find your own communication style. How do you talk to people in order to understand if how you normally talk, it's going to trigger them even more? Because that also can happen. Like, if you're mad and someone that you've been fighting a lot sends you a sticker, an emoji, a gift, you are signing a war declaration, because it's going to be taken as passive-aggressive. We know that. Like, we know this. We might be trying to be friendly, and it's going to hit like a train. So it's about knowing, how do you communicate it. I have 4 questions that I have to like write.
If you have a pen, just pause this episode and go for your pen and write it down, please.
Go for it. I'm even going to pause so you guys can write it. You don't have to immediately answer, like, you just have to think about the answer, but do get the questions because they're amazing. So the first one is, do you prioritize your necessities or other people's necessities during a conversation? The second one is, what emotion do you connect with when you are communicating normally? Spoiler alert, just so you have more context. Do I feel anxious? Do I feel nervous? Do I get shy because I have to talk about me? Do I get happy and excited because I am that way? Or do I get defensive every time someone says hi? Because I'm gonna get like feedback and I get mad. How do I feel every time I have to communicate with someone else? Either like, even if I don't know this person or if I do know this person, how do I feel? If a delivery calls to say, hey, I'm here with your food, how do I feel about picking up that call? The third one is, how is your self-esteem going on lately? How are you feeling? How do you know that you're feeling? How do you feel about the thoughts that you're having constantly? Again, this is a human podcast. We know that whenever you say you need to breathe in and breathe out during the meeting, most of the time it's not possible. So let's keep it real. How do you feel? Do you feel pretty? Do you feel bonita? Or you don't? And the fourth one, the last one, is, what kind of relationships do you have with others? Strained. Like politeness and that's it. I know I'm all happy. I say hi, sunshines, and everyone knows I am here. How do I behave? How do these people behave with me? And how do we fit? Do I have this kind of relationships with everyone? Or I'm just pretending to be nice with some people because I'm interested in something, but I'm not with other people, so they know that I have a resting face that it's not that kind. How do we socialize? So, here's the thing. The second exercise is to understand how many times you speak in you basis. You are blaming. You are saying that you did something. You are making something. You are putting the blame. It's not going to help anyone. How many times do you put the blame on someone else? How many times do you say, if you, and you take excuses on people, like other people's actions? That's not how it works, right? So in order to know that you are emotionally prepared for a situation, how many times do you excuse yourself on other people's action, on other people's mistakes, on other people's information, on other people's comment? When you're talking like on a personal basis, you cannot talk to you as much because it's going to get people bored. It's not going to help them empathize with you, but more like they'll feel that you're not listening to them. But when you're in work, like during your work shift and your work meetings, like more like on a professional level, not necessarily like on day-to-day basis, whenever you say you are doing something, it's not going to be well received. How many times do you blame? Or do you excuse on other people? How many times do you do those kind of things and talk about you instead of how I feel? Whenever you think that you're getting like attacked, instead of saying, you are yelling at me, why don't you say, hey, I am not feeling listened to? Or I am not doing something, I'm not understanding what you're saying. I'm not feeling like I have enough information to do this task. It's not you are not giving information. It's I feel like I need more information. And it's going to change like a whole game changer. Like it's super different how people react. Okay, so once you understand how do you communicate and how do you react and how do you express whatever you have to say, here's the cut. We have homework, all of us, because I think it's time for me to reformulate these two. You need to think about how would you talk to each profile that we talked about, because believe it or not, we have 4 profiles by now. We have these kind of people. This goes very, very in the hand, very hand in hand with the stress languages. We have love languages, but oh surprise, we also have stress languages. which are flight, fight, which are like the most known ones. But we also have freeze and fawn. The people that try to respect, like try to prioritize other people's needs. How would you communicate with them? Because they'll have limits that they won't tell you. So how do you manage that? You have the people that prioritizes their own needs more than others. We have a lot of we do have a lot of experience with this because this is like super viralized on internet. But how do you communicate with them without losing your ground? How do you communicate with people that respect their needs as much as yours, which is probably the emotionally regulated ones? But how do you make that work easily for you both, or for your team? And then we have the mixture of the first two characteristics, which you would think it's like the middle ground, which is but it's not. It's like when people are like passive aggressively saying yes. How do you communicate with those? You have 4 people. That's the homework.
Thank you so much, B. We really appreciate. I think this is a real important exercise for all to do it, and I'm pretty sure we are going to do it. So thank you so much. Going into the second topic, we want to talk a little bit about innovation. So how do you keep your remote team creatively full and energized to come up with innovate campaigns? We know innovation is really important nowadays after pandemic, and especially because we're remote workers. But how to keep these innovate campaigns? Like, how do you do with your team?
By example, I am the most excited of them all. I am the one that researches the most. I am the one that, like, as I get a new tool, I'm sharing it already. I'm saying, hey, this is the best tool ever. You're going to love it. Take your time to like explore it and see what can you do with this. Take a time. I do give tasks, like things to do for them to research and get excited by themselves. Like, if you like this, go for it. Make your research. Try to find a tool. We'll for sure use it. If this, like, the motivational part goes very, very hand in hand with the fact that we do like a very tough quality assurance on web designs. So when you're giving feedback, how do you give that feedback? It's to hype them up even more. It's not to get them down. You have to give it on a way. Of course, this is going to also depend on like again, who are you talking to? How do you hype these people up? But the thing is that you have to make it excitable. You have to make it truth. You have to make them say, hey, you're totally right. Let's do this, and these optimizations, these improvements, and not, hey, they correct me this. Like, oh my God, I have to keep like working on the same thing for like, I've been doing this for 2 days already. I'm sick of it. No, it's not I'm sick of it. It's Jesus Christ, this is going to be a masterpiece. That's what you're looking for. So it's lead by example. Like, if you think that you can optimize it, like, think with them. Let's say that we have like this hard campaign that you're trying to strategize and you don't know how. It's not good luck. It's let's sit down and think, like,
let's brainstorm
limitless.
together.
Let's think about the impossible. Like, what would you do? Like, what if we say hi on every language in the world, and we divide that and we send different like languages, like the email on different languages for every person that it's not speaking English, or that doesn't. Why don't we add like a saying of each region to this email? And what do we and you hype them up, and as they see you like hyping yourself up, they'll hyped up. Like, that's like the John. If you see someone joining, you the John. It's the exact same thing. As you get excited, they'll get excited. So, I think like lead by example. That's how you keep people happy and motivated. Say hi, sunshines, on every meeting, and let them know that you're actually there.
Yeah, I like that part of just including the rest of the team in that innovation part, because it's definitely not a responsibility that only relies on the management. That's more of a style of department management per se, of department processing per se. Like if you nourish that innovation culture inside your department and within your company, I feel like that helps. And it's not a one man person. It's not a one man job, definitely. Like you need to have your whole team invested in that, and then having them also be proactive enough to be innovative on their own. Because if they do it while they're brainstorming with you, they'll also be doing it on their day to day basis. Like they'll be more resourceful when they have to find solutions to their problem. So I feel like that's a great way to go there.
I'm sorry, I'm going to give the best tip ever. If you build a team based on your instructions, you're not building a team. You're building soldiers that they won't think by themselves. They'll just act based on whatever you told them to do. They'll fire that gun just because they have to. But if you hype them up, if you tell them you can do this, you will do this, I'll help you, I can optimize this with you, but you are the brain, creating this, like shaping this up, you're building people that is going to grow. And you want people to grow because they want to grow. And it works both ways. Like, I really want you to grow because that will make me grow as a company, as a person, as a professional, because whatever it's happening on your mind, it's not happening on mine, obviously. So new ideas are good. New points of view are good. New changes, those are good. You don't want soldiers. You want people that are capable.
Absolutely. Innovation at times comes in the most challenging moments of, a department, of a company, of a business per se. So I think that brings us to the last topic that we're going to be talking about, which is overcoming challenges. And really, before we get to that conversation what's related to marketing, I would like to know, like, what are some marketing tools that you use on your day-to-day? And then how can they help you overcome challenges in your area of expertise?
All right. So I have many tools actually that are not related to the company, because we do know that every company have like their own resources. These are things that you'll find on internet for free.
Okay.
And that they're absolutely amazing. The first one is if I don't know how to approach something, I look someone else's work.
Okay.
And not necessarily like I ask for it. I go to Google, I type, let's say I want to do an email strategy. And if I don't know how to approach this, I'll just type on Google, let's say email marketing campaign strategy for a brand that makes pens. And you go file type, 2 points, PDF. Everything on one, like with no spaces. You'll get all the PDFs on the web available for free with people's job. So you'll have a benchmark. You'll have other ideas that you didn't brainstorm. You just got advantage of them. Like someone else did the hard work and you're just there making things fit into whatever you're doing. It's super, it's amazing. That's something that I do, and I save them, and I have 3 gigabytes on that. Great. If you have any questions, guys, you can hit me up. Just I'm trying to say everything super, super basic so you all can understand. But other things that I do are AIs. We have 100,000 of AIs right now that are free, and they do everything for you. Like they only need to learn about how to make your breakfast in the morning, because everything else is learned already. There are many tools that are free. There are many that are not, but you can stick with the free ones. What happens when you're as picky as I am? I am in love with any chatbot out there. Why? Because I can code them. If I want a blog post, a social media post with these best practices, with this on mind, with these kind of things that it's going to complement this image, and this is the copying. The copying is what you see on the photo, the thing that you cannot copy and paste, and it's not on the caption or the description. The thing that is designed, that's the copying. If I want this comment to complement this copying, what do I need to have like a base? And it'll give me everything. What's the deal with the chatbot? It doesn't. When you have an AI that it's designed to do something, you don't know how is it designed. So you don't know the quality standards. You don't know what is this tool focusing on. When you have the chatbot, they don't know anything, but they know how to follow orders. There you have your soldiers. You don't need to deal with emotions. You don't need to deal with, they're not exactly accurate, but you are accurate. So it's okay. So you just like type down everything. Don't leave anything unsaid. Don't think that it's going to understand something. Don't use technical words, and give a lot of context. And it's going to do a huge brainstorm that you can just mix and match for your whatever, your social media post, your blog post, your strategy. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. No, they make the work easier.
And also, we are going to make a post regarding this topic because there are a bunch of tools that we daily have been using, and especially in the marketing section. And we want you guys to have it. So before we launch this episode, we're going to have a post on our LinkedIn page so that you guys can go ahead and just take those ideas so that you can also use it on your daily base work. Before we finish, because we know this episode, it's coming to an end, what advice do you have for marketers looking to stay ahead of the curve and innovate in the remote work landscape?
Don't believe everything you hear, especially when we're talking about social media. And like the best thing that I've been like using, the one that I like the most, is like many platforms have updates channels. So every time an algorithm is optimized or changed, or like it's going to prioritize something else, usually the actual platforms sends notices on a newsletter or like on blogs. Like they don't necessarily have a newsletter, but they do have a blog that where they specified you'll get information firsthand, and then you'll get like raw data and translate that into actionable insights for whichever brand you're managing at that point. So if you're working for a company, let's say Tinder, which is the best company ever, and you know something is going to affect the way people search things, for example, there's going to be people, of course, that are going to freak out and say, hey, this is a disaster because we're getting this, and this update, and it's going to be awful, but it actually benefits my strategy. So social media tends to be a little complicated to know like how to filter information. If you get it right from the source, you'll understand how exactly this information fit into whatever you're doing, into whatever platform you're working on, into whatever strategy you're sticking to. So that's like, that is like probably my favorite kind of way to stay up to trends. And of course, we have Google Alerts. I'm telling you, I'm a free person. I don't like to pay for things that I know that I can get like firsthand. And for example, platforms won't ever charge you for telling you things. So effectiveness, it's important, people. Google Alerts have this option that they'll send you periodic emails every time that you want. You can choose the frequency, and you can choose the topic. So you use the quotation for the specific search that you want, and you'll get them. So I have like best practices for marketing. I have, you can also have the and. So you have best practices and marketing, best practices and graphic design, and you'll get everything like related to best practices that on the same page have digital marketing. So you filter it, you add your keywords, the ones that you want to say like on trend, you add something that makes it feasible. You can add like a website, you can add a source, you can add dates, you can add specific words. For example, if you're talking about food, you can ask like you can have the FDA, so you know that it's FDA approved, for example. And then you type whatever. Like you can also type like the file type, you can type the dates, you can type locations, and then you just set it. And every time something that's fitting into your description like goes up on search, like on not on search, like on Google search, you'll get that straight to your email.
Yeah. So embracing technology overall, like I feel like we're living in this innovation era where things change so quickly that you need to use as many tools as possible to just stay up to date. But then again, you also need to do the work of even staying avant-garde, like staying in the front of trends, because exactly, things change so quickly that what worked marketing-wise 6 months ago may not be the same that's working today. And that's getting you results today. And I feel like something I've learned working in marketing is that you can never promise results. Like you can only promise like delivery of the service and, you know, being as on top of things as possible, but you can't really deliver results. Like I feel like a lot of times when we hear people that are like guaranteeing certain kind of results, like this kind of growth or anything, like for me, it generates more suspicious. It becomes more suspicious for me than someone that, or an agency that's able to say, you know what, we can offer you these services, and then this is the projection that we're making. This is the forecast that we have. It's a very different kind of tone. And I feel like that is like the best advice that I can give someone that's either planning to work on marketing or planning to hire marketing services. Like it applies both ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That you can promise that you'll follow best practices and that you'll be like on top of everything.
Yeah.
But you cannot promise how people is going to react.
Yeah. And really, it sounds like a little bit, I feel like it generates a little bit of uncertainty that you're going with people that can't guarantee results. But the thing is that marketing is very, I wouldn't say mystical, because it's not. Like it's a very well thought kind of engineering kind of work done. But at the end of the day, what is an absolute variable is the audience. And that your audience is not always going to react how you expect. Like, again, you can have the same campaign right now than maybe that worked 6 months ago, and people are not going to react the same way to it right now. Because maybe 6 months ago, there was a different a context, there was a different situation. And so
there was a different problem.
Yeah, for that, you need to be on top of things. You need to stay updated in trends to see how that audience changes and patterns. And then just I feel like the best that you can look for in a marketing agency or that you can strive for as a marketer is just trying to follow the best practices and really just stay on top of the trends. I feel like that's really the edge and the skill that marketers need to have.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. A huge thank you for being our guest today.
Your insights have been invaluable, and we can wait to have you soon on another episode.
Thank you, Jess. Like, thank you for having me. This is this was way more fun than I thought it would be.
We also want to thank all our listeners for sticking with us till the very end of this episode from the Hired Hub.
And whether you're a business owner exploring remote work or a job seeker navigating the remote job market, remember the future is filled with possibilities.
Remember, we have new episodes dropping every Tuesday on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. This is Jess.
And this is Gaby. Until next time. That wraps another episode of the Hired Hub podcast. We hope you found today's discussion empowering and insightful. Remember, success in the world of remote work is within your reach, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert advice and engaging conversations. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us reach more people who can benefit from the Hired Hub podcast.